Hypothermia is really something close to my heart. I have suffered from hypothermia back in the 80s when I did the Snow and Satisfaction Regatta and we capsized. And this is just when dry suits were starting. And I was wearing a dry suit. With my body weight and me being small, I'm going to get colder a little bit faster. We all have different internal thermal properties and thermal conditioners. So when I got so cold, I literally could not walk. When they brought me in on the powerboat, I got on the dock and I went on my hands and knees. By the time I got up the ramp, I was able to stand, but I really couldn't feel my toes. The most important thing, if you ever do get hypothermia and you do start to warm up and you do want to get into a hot shower, do not go hot immediately. You start with a very lukewarm shower and then you start to increase it from there. So how do we prevent hypothermia? So the whole theory behind wearing layers is that your body will produce heat. And if you're wearing a shirt underneath that, you have a layer between your body and the shirt. So that layer that's warm air in there. Then you move out and now you can see I'm wearing a shirt here and I'm wearing a fleece. So then say we take your second layer is going to be your fleece. And you have now your body, air layer, your shirt, an air layer, and your fleece. So you kind of have these layers that are working together to try to keep you warm. So now we're going outside and it's not such nice weather. So I'm going to have a waterproof layer. So now you have your body, air layer, shirt, air layer, fleece, air layer, outer garment. At that point, you've got 5 different layers that are trying to keep you warm. Now what happens when you get wet? Well, now what happens when you get wet? Your outer layer is not working so much, but your fleece isn't really going to hold that, that moisture. If I was wearing a cotton t-shirt, if you've ever gone hiking, you will see signs that say cotton kills. What happens is cotton holds 28% of its weight in moisture, whereas polyester, which is the technical fabric, holds less than 1%. So with this fleece, which is made of polyester, the water might go right through or the vapor might come right throughout. But when you get something wet against your skin and it's cotton, what happens? I'm sure you've all experienced this. It stays damp. And so if all of a sudden you were out doing something, and this can happen from water coming from the outside or your body moisture, we're going to call it sweat vapor, that can get you sweat and you're doing a big activity. Say you're on a coffee grinder and you're moving your arms fast and, then you sit down. Well, what happens? All of a sudden you've stopped moving, your whole going to cool down. But if you're wearing cotton against your skin, that cotton's going to absorb all that moisture. So now as it gets moisture and it grows, and cotton loves it, it absorbs it so much that if you have one spot, if you've noticed, it will kind of grow. So now you have this moisture spot growing. What that does then is it draws out your body heat from and your organs need to stay heated in order to function. So that's why hypothermia is so important. When we go dinghy sailing, we now use dry suits. And dry suits were really only invented in the late 70s. And that is a suit that I literally can put on and jump in the water. And the only thing exposed will be my hands and my head, because it's got a neck seal, wrist seals, and then encompassed booties. So at that point, you can do it. And everybody, we wear them. But still, when you go in the water, if we're here in Newport, Rhode Island, or New England, that water gets cold. And in the middle of January, that water can be 38 degrees. But at that point, you still can get cold, which is what happened to me in the late 80s when I did this regatta, because I was wearing a dry suit. But remember that your goal is to keep your body warm, and especially your core of your body. Your extremities can get a little cold, but you want to make sure that you keep your core. And that's what we're doing here. So everything we're wearing, but it's layers. So you have your first layer, your second layer, your third layer. And if you're me sometimes, I will actually take my second layer, which is my fleece, put it right against my skin because it's a little bit warmer. Then I wear another fleece, and then I wear my outer layer. So I'm sort of doubling up on my second layers, which keeps me a little bit warmer.